Welcome to the B. Lenore Show. Here, we will discuss lifestyle, beauty, celebrity gossip, and current events in our own way, my way, B-style. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are enjoying this great holiday weekend. Don't know how you normally go about celebrating the 4th of July normally, because, you know, we had our real Independence Day celebration, right, for Juneteenth. But I hope you're having a good time this weekend, no matter what you're doing, and you're staying safe. And today we have a very special guest that's on with us, and someone that I've known for a very long time. But today I get to talk to her most specifically about what it is that she's doing in the business world. And we might even have some questions about some of those clients that she works with. Okay. But before we do that, let me say hi to the folks in the chat. Hi, I Just Be Coolin'. Okay, so I Just Be Coolin'. Is this Coolin' with the Crew? Coolin' with the Crew's new page? If so, welcome, Coolin'. Welcome. Hey, Shell Loves. Hey, Know Your Own Worth. Thank you, my beautiful ma, for being here to hold me down. Hey, Cool Gamer. Okay, Cool Gamer, you are late today, baby. You are always first. You and Chakra King Black, you all are typically always first today. Are like third. What's going on, Cool Gamer? Hey, Buttercup. How are you? Hey, Asia Graves. Barn Dog is here. Hey, W. Jackson. How are you? Hi, Sagittarius Queen. All right. Hey, Lori Prince. Welcome, everybody, here to the B. Lenore Show. All right. So, without further ado, I want to bring my guest on, but actually, you know what? Hold on, one more thing. Remember that for the month of July, all membership levels have access to all of the interview Q&As for the month of July. Okay, so that includes today's Q&A session. All right. Hi, Duchess Kelly Love. Welcome. Hey, Mickey, how are you doing today? So I am actually, let me hurry up and get over here and pull up. Let me pull up the link to the membership. The lowest level tier for membership is $3.99. So if you would like to be a part of this Q&A, you can do so. Hold on one second. Let me get the link. Bam, there it is. Let me put it in the chat for you guys. So if you would like to join the membership and be a part of today's Q&A and all of the Q&As for the month of July, please sign up immediately. And then you'll be able to join us right after this interview. So she and I are going to talk. We're going to try to keep it within a very, very specific amount of time. Okay. I want to try and stay around that 45-minute mark, and then we can shoot over to members only and you can ask a few questions there. Hey, Adore Me. Welcome. Hey, Mama Cynthia Simpson. Hey, Denise. Welcome. So please join. Moderators, if you could make sure that you copy that link, keep it nearby, so in the future you guys can drop that link too. Hey, Smith and Wesson. Look, with names like this, I don't want to scare off my guests. Smith and Wesson is in the chat. Okay. All right. Hey, Grace K. Hi, Grace K. All right. So let's get started. All right. Shall we? I've put the thingamajig, the link in the chat. So if you would like to become a member, please feel free to join us now. Okay. Hold on one second. So I want to pull something up. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about my guest. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the bio that I posted on my community wall. I want to share a few things from there. Cynthia is an internationally known published author, a media contributor, an authoritative voice on plant-based foods of the African diaspora. She is a professionally trained plant-based chef and a nutritional consultant who specializes in all of these things that I cannot pronounce that she will come out here and do. Okay. She'll just pronounce it for us. All right. What I can tell you is not only is she talented, obviously, and beautiful, which you will see as well. That is quite obvious. She is a smart cookie, and I'm proud to see and hear all the things she's doing in business. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to some and present to others, Chef Cynthia Pean. Yes.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, and I'm happy to be here on this beautiful Sunday.
It's beautiful here too. It's always beautiful where you are, but it's beautiful here today here as well. So look, Cynthia, you've got a lot going on, and I didn't even know how much you had going on till we had recent conversations. I was like, wow, you've got a product line, you've got services that you offer on a regular. Mm-hmm. Before we get to all of that, tell us a little bit about who Cynthia is, where she's from, and who raised this woman.
Okay, well, I am a native San Franciscan, San Francisco, California. I am a first-generation American. My mother was from Guyana, South America. My father is from Liberia, West Africa. And I always tell people when I speak of Liberia that my father is an indigenous Liberian, because there is a story, as I'm sure you know, that at the end of slavery, there were some Blacks that were repatriated to Africa. And so my father is not one of those. He is a Kru from the Kru tribe in Liberia. I grew up in San Francisco during the social upheaval of the 70s. I mean, everything. We had, the flower child movement, the sexual revolution. We had Jamestown at the end of the Jonestown at the end of that. And my mother being from Guyana made it even more interesting for us because we were from San Francisco and these people went to my mom's country.
Yes.
So many different things. But as I look back, I had such a rich childhood, and the experiences just growing up in a city like San Francisco, as I sit back and I think about it now, that economically it was a time when my parents were able to buy. My dad was a teacher, my mother was a social worker, and they were able to buy a house. That's unheard of in today's San Francisco. I mean, pretty much most of the country, that's unheard of.
Right.
And so I grew up with my brother Alvin, that you know.
Yes. Well, let me start really quickly. Everyone in the chat. So her brother, we actually interviewed him. He was on the channel a couple months ago. And so, so if she looks familiar, that's why, because they look like twins. Okay.
I guess we do. And I have two other brothers that grew up on the continent in Africa, but I grew up Alvin and I feel bad sometimes because when they ask if I have a brother, I think of just him. Just had a really well exposed childhood. My mother was incredibly curious culturally about all types of different cultures. And so she was constantly exposing us to things and different foods. And I grew up in a San Francisco that had very distinct neighborhoods. And the faith I grew up in, we had the Filipino church, the Samoan church, the Spanish church, the Russian church. So as I look back, I recognize that all of that
Mhm.
contributed and influenced the journey that I'm on now in the food world.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So, and now when we talk about the foods that you work most specifically with, we know that you're plant-based.
Mhm.
Well, let me ask you this. When did you get into plant-based foods in general? Like as far as even just enjoying them as far as food was concerned?
Well, I was raised Seventh-day Adventist, and the health message is part of Adventism. And that health message is based on very little meat consumption, if none at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a home. My father, I always laugh at this because it was so unheard of. But in 1974, my father became a vegetarian. And so our home was primarily vegetarian because my mother didn't necessarily want to come home and fix two different pots for dinner. So
Right.
we ate overwhelmingly plant-based or vegetarian. And then as young people do, they decide what they want to eat and what they don't want to eat. And I came back to it much later in life, but my foundation really is or was vegetarian based.
But see, vegetarian based is still not plant based, so
No.
it takes it to a whole nother level.
Whole nother level, yeah,
So-
whole nother level. And that came about because, as you know, my mother passed
Yeah.
in 1999, and she was a diabetic. My grandfather, her father, died at 45 from a diabetic stroke.
Mm.
My mother passed at 58, which was, people said that was young, and I'm 51 now. So I realize how young that, to me, I was like, I didn't
Super
realize
young.
it till, yeah. And my aunt, like, there are so many people in my family that suffer or suffered from diabetes. And it was all because they couldn't control what they ate because of their choices. And I decided that if I was going to go into food, I wanted to contribute to people's health, abundance, and longevity, as opposed to just appealing to their appetite. Because when you're just appealing to appetite, there's all kinds of decisions that you make without really thinking deeply about it. And
sure.
so I just wanted to be different. I didn't want to know that something that I did led to somebody's demise.
So, how much time did you put into studying what ailments different food items, what healing powers, I should say,
Mhm.
different food items had towards different ailments? Like, is that a course you have to study,
Yeah.
or you have to do that on your own? Like, how does that work?
Well, I think it's ongoing, but I did go to culinary school in Austin, Texas, which was a plant-based culinary school. It's something that I had wanted to do. I just decided I was going to be a private chef one day. I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. I mean, I'd always been good at cooking. And so I did private chef work for about a year and a half. And then I said, I want to go to culinary school. But the only plant-based culinary school was in Austin. And I was living in LA at the time and had just gotten married. And fortunately, my husband was a consultant. And as long as there was a major airport, he could fly wherever he had to fly. So he said, let's move to Austin. So we went to Austin. I was there for 9 months and I went through the program. So while I was there, that is where I learned how to cook for disease, how to cook for, stamina and endurance and sports nutrition and macrobiotics and Ayurveda. It was just like all of this stuff. I had a crash course in how to do that.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so before we get into some of the plant-based private chef opportunities you've had, let me ask you about where food is concerned and where people who are like myself, who just love certain meats. I love certain items. There are just certain things I love, the flavors that come with it. Is there a substitution for everything? Like, obviously, I've seen people play with chicken and they've got the cauliflower and they do all these other things. Yeah. And I've seen people with the using tofu and for fishy types of flavors. Can everything be substituted, Cynthia?
Okay, so let me start with, you said that there's certain things that you love, and I'm going to ask you the question, do they love you back? That's number one. Number two is, I come from a school of thought that we should be eating foods as close to its natural state as possible. So that negates a lot of that packaged and processed vegan food. Like, I don't, and I'm not going to front. Every once in a while, I may feel like a burger, so I'll have an Impossible Burger or something like that. But the danger that that people get into when they transition, they have this noble transition in their mind from eating all these meat protein to plant protein. But if they were eating, pork bacon or turkey bacon for breakfast, now they're eating soy bacon. If they were having, a chicken sandwich for lunch, now they're having a vegan chicken sandwich. And so you're taking one thing and substituting another. And
that thing you're substituting it with may not be better for you.
It may not be. I mean, if you honestly take a look at, and I always encourage people to do this, take a look at the ingredients. The first ingredient is the one that is the most prevalent, and then so on and so on and so on. Right. You will see things that will say the first ingredient might be like wheat gluten, and the second thing is sugar, or the second thing is salt, or the second thing is something you can't even pronounce. So I think that, again, you should eat things. If you want to do cauliflower, that's a great choice. There's amazing things you can do with cauliflower. There are amazing things you can do with vegetables and legumes and all these different things. I'm more to that side, and occasionally having these meat substitutes, but by no means should it be the lion's share.
Okay. I'm glad you said that, because I've often thought to myself, okay, so, and I don't want to mention any brand names, but there are times when I thought, okay, I want turkey, ground turkey for tacos or whatever it is I'm making. And then I see these brands of this crumbled, Impossible meat or something similar to that, And I always wonder, but how do I know what that is? Like, I don't know what that is personally. So I feel like I'm going from one thing to another that I still don't know much about, and I'm not sure about. But if I kept it fresh, and something else you said that was pretty interesting. You said, I think that it's best to keep the foods at their most natural state. So does that mean that most of the vegan foods that you prepare, if they're the healthiest, they're raw?
Not necessarily close to its natural state in terms of not a whole bunch of additives and stuff like that. So it could still be cooked. I do quite a bit of raw, but the issue with raw is everybody's digestive system is not set up to manage raw diets. Okay. Because that's a lot of, it's a lot of fiber, and your body has to go through this process of breaking it down. So that is why in the school of macrobiotics, for example, they suggest if you're going to eat a kale salad, get in there and you massage it before you eat it. Why? Because when you massage kale, it breaks down the cellular walls and it makes it easily digestible. Have you ever just tried to eat like kale without it's kind of
bigger.
Yeah.
I do it, but it is bitter. I didn't know that people are massaging the kale. So when you get that, you rub the leaves,
you drizzle a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of salt, and you literally get in there and massage it, and you will see it gets to be this beautiful deep green, and it really softens up. Then you put all your avocado, your seeds, your nuts, your tomatoes, your dressing, and it's a completely different experience. And your body is able to die, because it's basically what you've done is, in the macrobiotic world, they believe that you've already started the digestive process and that you've broken down the cell walls of those greens before it even hits your mouth.
How?
Because you've massaged it. You've massaged it so it's much softer and it's easier to go through your body.
Massaging is doing it. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Well, look, you got to write a book on this so that we know these things.
Yeah, I'm working on a few things. My challenge is discipline. the consistency of sitting down. I'm very good on my feet with cooking and stuff. And so it's, translating what comes naturally to you to pen and pad. And that's my challenge. Because I don't cook like most people that cook, it's a gut instinct thing. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm like, I just put that in there. I didn't measure it. Now I'm having to guess. And sometimes I come pretty close to it, but there are other times I'm like, that wasn't it. So that's the challenge.
Can you tell us a couple of different food items or dishes that positively impact and promote healing towards certain ailments? So you mentioned earlier about diabetes. Mm-hmm. So what's one thing that we could cook or have around to help promote healing there?
Well, if you're an okra lover, that's a great thing. Okay. Okra is great because it's mucilaginous. Okay. So when you eat it, it levels your insulin so that you don't have spikes in your sugar. Wow. Okra is wonderful. I would suggest you not deep fry it, but in gumbo, if you make it with like tomatoes and onions, that's great. Actually,
like peas?
Yes. Actually, you can drop raw okra into a smoothie. You will get the health benefits and you will not taste the whole sliminess people have an issue with. Yeah. That's the way for you to get it into your system without having to deal with that. Sure. Chia seeds are also excellent. Okay. You can make a simple chia pudding using coconut milk or almond milk, a little bit of maple syrup. You mix up a tablespoon or 3 tablespoons of chia seeds with like a cup of plant milk, stir it up, put it in the fridge for a few hours. You can put some fresh berries on there. Great. Flax meal is also great. Okay. You can put flax meal in your pancakes. You can put it in your smoothies. You can sprinkle it on a salad. All of those things are really, really good for inflammation, which is diabetes. It's also great for high blood pressure.
I was about to ask about high blood pressure.
Blood pressure, diabetes.
What about heart disease?
Yes, it's also good for that. All of those are inflammatory. All of those are inflammatory diseases. And that is what people of color, Black people in particular, we are dying because of inflammatory diseases. And a lion's share of those diseases are a result of our diet. Plain and simple.
What about just someone who's suffering from headaches? Is there something that we can eat or drink that would be helpful towards a remedy towards headaches?
Let me tell you, one of the greatest healers for our body is simply water. When you have a headache, most of the time, it's because you're dehydrated.
Yeah.
And if your body is 70% water, that's a whole lot of water you need to be drinking. I really recommend a minimum of 96 ounces of water a day. And if you space it out, this right here is 32 ounces. So it's 3 of these in a day.
Right.
If you space it out, you plan it in the morning as soon as you wake up before your feet hit the ground, get those 8 to 16 ounces in. And then every hour or so, get that water in and you're done in a matter of hours. Water is so key for your skin, for your hair, for your, it helps reduce brain fog, all of those things. So the number one thing I would say, if you have an issue with headaches, I would say, what is your water intake? And then the other thing I would do is, if I'm not comfortable with drinking a lot of water, I'm increasing my celery and my cucumber consumption and my watermelon consumption. All of those things are very, very high in water. And that's a way for me to get it into my diet if I'm not wanting to drink all day and pee all day.
Right. You know, it's funny you brought up celery water, because I just heard the other day someone was talking to Lori Harvey because they were talking about her skin product line, but they also asked her what's like her daily remedy. She says she lives by waking up in the morning drinking celery water. So what does the celery water in and of itself do? Because do I need to go out and buy a bushel right now is what I need to know.
Well, I can't, In cooking for some of my clients, they have had that in the morning. So they'll do celery. It'll have a bit of apple in there and a bit of ginger. It's high in antioxidants, and it's a great just cleansing thing to do first thing in the morning. I don't want to speak on, I can't speak specifically to it, but I know that celery has a natural salt to it. And so it probably has something to do with kind of like setting your levels for the morning, for the day as you go about your day. But I do know a lot of people swear by it. And I think it has to do with hydration and sodium and all of those types of things.
And then one last question about like healing properties and things. I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this to you when I saw you last, but I have really serious digestive issues that I'm still trying to work through, trying to figure it out. I'm taking in more ginger than I have before. So, that has helped. What are some other things you can do to help with level setting your digestive system before you eat? Or is there something that you would suggest to help with the healing process?
What I would suggest is take your diet back to the bare bones and then gradually add things in, because in America, we have the most genetically modified food system in the world. Mm-hmm. So the things like soy, wheat, corn, all of those things potatoes are heavily genetically modified. And you may say, oh, I don't eat tofu. I don't eat soy. Look at those ingredients. Mm-hmm. A lot of those things have soy protein in it because the food lobby is pushing that they want their product, they want their crops included. Okay. Corn syrup is literally like in everything. So if corn is genetically modified and it's the basis of all these different cereals and drinks and seasonings and all that kind of stuff, you may not be eating corn, like corn on the cob or something like that, but you're ingesting it, and that genetically modified crop is in your system, and it's messing around with the I just had a brain. It's messing around with the system, your ecosystem in your body, right? So disease cannot grow in an alkaline environment. It can grow in an acid environment. It does grow in an acid environment. And those genetically modified foods all contribute to an acid system. So what I would say is take out all those things. I mean, go back to the basics. Take out nightshades, which are tomatoes and peppers and all those things. You never know. Just go real basic and then gradually add those things back in, and boom, you will figure out what it is that is bothering your body.
I will say too, when my mother got to be around my age range, she started having digestive issues, and the doctor specifically told her that she could no longer eat tomatoes with seeds. If she was going to eat the tomatoes, she would have to gut them out. She needed to stay away from caffeine, and she needed to stay away from just nuts in general and chocolate. And I was like, oh God, think I'm afraid to find out what they're going to tell me.
It's crazy, because another thing that happens in the world we're in with new products, when something new comes in, everything has that in it. Okay. So for example, oat milk. Everything is oat milk. And you're trying it. And if you don't realize that you have a sensitivity, your system is in turmoil, and you're like, well, I'm not eating any dairy. How come all of a sudden I'm gassy all the time? Back in the day, what made me gassy was dairy. I went through a 20-day detox. There's a company called New Nutrition out of Linwood, California. And I went through a 21-day detox. I discovered I have an oat sensitivity.
Really?
And I had been drinking oat milk and using oat this and oat that. And my body was just like overwhelmed with this thing that I had a sensitivity to.
Wow.
You know, and so it's kind of like what your mother was saying all along. She was able to do these things, but at a certain point, and that's the same thing as soon as I hit 50, boom, all kinds of stuff that I used to be able to do. I
Yeah.
can't do it anymore. I can't eat it anymore. So it does, as you get older, it changes. So that's why it would behoove you to, you know, try to take those things out and then gradually add them back in and see what happens.
For sure. For sure. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, let's stop for a really quick break, a quick commercial. When we come back, we're going to ask Cynthia how she made the leap from finishing school to actually getting her first celebrity client, how that happened, a little bit about her work in the celebrity world, and then we're going to break off and do our Q&A. But we'll be back right after this. All right, so we had a few more people that came into the room since we've gotten started. Hey, Rico DeBrat. Who else came in? Onyx Blue is here. Hey, Onyx Blue. Scroll down. Barn Dog. I don't know if I think I say hi to you, Barn Dog. Yes. And Duchess Kelly Love said 50s lies you tell, more like 30s. Yeah, that black don't crack, huh?
That's that motherland up in there.
I know that's right. All right. So Cynthia, you mentioned, okay, well, let's go back for a minute because I know personally that you did not go to culinary school until after you already had a master's degree.
Yes.
So what was the original plan for your career?
I wish I could say I had a plan. I wish I could say I had a plan. I have always been a creative spirit.
Yeah.
Those of you who are tuned in who may come from a West Indian or West African or immigrant background will know what I'm saying when I say you are expected to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, or a disappointment.
Oh, gosh.
And so I was somebody who I had an incredible ability to talk myself into any job. I mean, and as I think back, I have been really fortunate that I lived in New York for 6 years. I worked in the music industry. I worked at the Museum for African Art. I had all these great experiences.
Yeah.
But I will be very honest with you. 98% of those jobs I failed abysmally at because I was doing it for the money and I wasn't passionate about it. I wasn't into it. And when this came about, I had my 2008 hit, the recession hit. I couldn't find a job for anything. I tell people, it's hard to believe, but I literally was flown to New York City to interview with Madonna, this Madonna. I
didn't know this. Go ahead. What?
Across from her in her apartment to run an organization she had called Raising Malawi. There was some kind of financial, something funny going on there. So they put a hold on that organization. The next day I was back in LA interviewing at Starbucks. I could not find a job to save my life. Postmasters, couldn't find a job. And my church at the time was looking for someone to head up the food ministry, dining committee. And I said, I've got nothing else to do. I'll do it. And when I did it, I realized I really love this. I love the challenge. I love seeing people eat my food and enjoying it. And that's what turned me this way and said, maybe that's what you need to think about. And Val, the moment I stepped into that, which was divinely ordered, you cannot tell me it wasn't. doors started opening and opportunities started happening that I literally could not have sat down and like
Right.
all
Right.
God, all God. But he had to get me into it by shutting down everything else so that I looked at something that, you know, came naturally. I come from a long line of cooks, people that can cook their behinds off, but I never once considered it as a career. And once I did, the Lord blessed it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And, well, what's even more important is that the fact that you paid attention and then you obeyed what God was telling you, because the lack of obedience could have left you still miserable potentially, you know?
Well, you know, he put me in a position where I guess I could have had another choice, you know, and then around that same time, I met Bernard, who would later become my husband. And he was just like, he has this thing that he believes that women have a special ability of creativity, and it's a gift from the creator. And that every woman should figure out what they're thinking. It may not be their vocation, but there's something that they use to express themselves. Where they're closest to God, because he's the master creator. And this was my thing. And so he was just like, do it. And having that support morally and financially made it possible for me to spread my wings and do my thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so you leave culinary school. Well, let's go back. I'm taking it that this was before culinary school. You've made this determination. This is what I would love to do, and you go to culinary school.
Yes.
Then, what's your first gig outside of culinary school?
Well, my first gig, and I don't know how many believers are on this chat, but I'm here to tell you, God is awesome. So my first gig was I had to do an internship after I finished culinary school to get my actual degree. They wanted something like 1,000 hours.
Okay.
And I had reached out to this guy that I followed on Instagram who used to do all these beautiful plant-based dishes. Okay. And he was in LA. And I said, I'm coming back to LA. I need an internship. You know, would you let me work with you? And he said he didn't respond. And like a couple weeks later, I reached out again. He said, I have a friend named Michael Falso. I'm going to put you in touch with him. So I reached out to this guy named Michael, who was the executive chef at this restaurant at the time called the Springs, which unbeknownst to me, was like one of the top raw vegan restaurants in the world.
What?
And I went there for an interview. Michael hired me for an internship. He took me under his wings. He would say things like, he was masterful. And he would say, I have an idea. He's like, order the stuff, make it. He really encouraged me to be creative. And I did that. And after I got my 1,000 hours, he offered me a job. And so I became like his secondhand person there. But then we talked about my salary. And when he told me what my salary was going to be, my hourly wage, which was good at the time, this is like 2015, it was $13 an hour.
It was when? Wait, what?
2015, it was $13 an hour. And I'm not knocking that.
Good, Cynthia.
But that was considered good. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm grateful, but clearly I need to figure out another avenue of doing my cooking, because this is not going to work. And so that's when I decided that I was going to do private chefing and things like that. And it just took off.
So how'd you get the first client for your private chef business?
My first client, let me think about that.
Yes.
So I had a girlfriend that I had known that actually runs a very successful bakery in LA called Southern Girl Desserts. Her name is Shoniji Robeson.
Okay.
And she had been following some stuff I posted, and she was like, girl, would you do, meal delivery for me? Like meal planning or whatever. And I said, sure. Well, that was great. I did that. Unbeknownst to me, her boyfriend is an actor who regularly did yoga with Russell Simmons. So the boyfriend was like, you need to cook for Russell because he has some place doing catering at the yoga studio and it's horrible. You need to cook for Russell. And he was like, fix some food and I'll set it up for you. I did that. Boom. Russell Simmons. Like amazing. This same girlfriend, Shoniji, was friends with somebody who was good friends with Pauletta Washington, Denzel's wife. She heard about the food and that Shoniji had lost like 10 pounds in 3 weeks eating my food. Because I was at that time, I was not only doing plant-based, but I was doing Dr. Sebi alkaline.
And when you mentioned alkaline eating earlier, I was going to ask you about Dr. Sebi.
So I was doing that, and Pauletta, I get a call one day, and it's like, "Hi, this is such and such calling for Pauletta Washington," and I was like, "Who?" It was her sister calling for Pauletta. She wants to employ you to do meal, and I was like, oh my gosh. Went to Denzel's house that looks like a small boutique hotel. It's like 30,000 square feet. Couldn't believe it. And so these things they just kept word of mouth, word of mouth. Next thing I know, Sir Lucian Grange, who was the head of Universal Music Group, called and wanted me to do meals for him. Then Hope Smith, who's the wife of Robert Smith, reached out to me, and these things just started.
Oh, hold on. Robert Smith, the billionaire black man. Yes, that was giving all the money to the end of us. Yes. Okay.
So I cooked for her and did some cooking classes for her, and it was going so well. And then my husband got transferred to Atlanta, Georgia. And it was there that I started working with Will Smith because he was shooting a film in Savannah, and they reached out to an agency that I had signed up with and completely forgotten about. And they called me about another job. And then I said, I don't even live in California anymore. I'm in Georgia. And they're like, oh my gosh, how far are you from Savannah? And I said, I have no idea. And they're like, well, you might want to find out because this is a great opportunity. And it was 4 hours away. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? I can't travel 4 hours every day. My husband said, you can get an Airbnb. So that's how that started in 2018. And then it just, it's not luck. It's not chance. It's God.
That's right.
It was all God. He just ordered, and he has allowed me to do things. But let me say this before you move on. One of the greatest experiences for me, the most challenging but greatest experience, was when I first started cooking for Mr. Smith, because I had never done anything like that before. And the chef who was there got fired the day I started. So I immediately went to head chef, and I had never done this before. And failure was not an option. Excellence was the floor. And I proved to myself what I could do because I didn't have an option. What was I going to do? Start crying and leave? I had to do it. I had to do it. And I feel like God had to put me in like that.
Yeah.
It was like I was forced into the situation, and he's like, jump, the net will appear. And that's exactly what he did.
Well, let me ask you about that since we're here. Working for someone like Will Smith, when I saw you last, you had mentioned that you were going to have to go to a separate, I guess, a location, probably where he was going to be filming again to set up the kitchen and that sort of thing. What's your job look like when you're doing your job? Like, you're setting up the kitchen, the meal plan for him, and you're not necessarily there cooking for him for every single meal of the day, right?
Well, this last time I was not, but the first time, there's only one chef hired. When I first started, there was only one chef hired.
Okay.
And you had to do everything.
Okay.
And people don't recognize, they think being a chef to celebrities or a celebrity chef is just like, you're in there with your whisk. That's like a fourth of it. So you have to set up because he travels with his stuff everywhere he goes, it needs to feel comfortable to him. So his whole kitchen, every pot is brought in. You have to unpack. I had like 50 boxes. You have to wash, you have to unpack, you have to put away. It needs to make sense. Is this needs to be here, this needs to be here. It has to look MTV ready at all times, because he may come down and open that refrigerator, and it has to be meticulous. So all of these things you have to keep in mind while trying to be creative. And when I was in Savannah, there were at least 15 people that were in and out of the house at all times. And he is the kind of person that wants everybody to feel taken care of. So that means if they walk in and you set out an entire breakfast buffet, which you did every single day, a breakfast buffet, a midday snack buffet, lunch, a mid-afternoon snack buffet, and dinner. If they came in and you had a whole buffet set out and they said, I actually would like salmon and pita bread. Fixing. So there's a lot going on. These last couple of times it was better because they hired 2 chefs. And so I didn't work as much, but I was responsible kind of like for overseeing and managing. But one of the things was we set up the entire kitchen in this house. And before he came, he said, I don't want any cooking happening in the house I'm staying in. It has to happen at the other house.
Why is that? You think he didn't want to smell the food? And...
I think for him getting in the mindset, he was doing that film on the runaway slave that had all those lashes on his back.
Yeah.
Emancipation, I think is the name of the film.
Yeah.
And I think for him, he wants to get into the mindset, and so all this clanking and cooking and all this kind of stuff, he didn't want it. So those 50 boxes that I had broken down and set up in that house within 24 hours had to be moved to the other house.
Are you kidding me? But wait, you're the only one there to do it?
At that point, I was the only one there. At that point, I was there because the other chefs had not started. So they came in a little after and they helped us, for example, do the shopping, because now after all of that, you got to do all the shopping of all the, the basics and the this and the that, the non-perishables, and then the perishables. So it's a lot. It's quite a bit. And then you cook.
So who delivers these types of instructions to you? Obviously not necessarily. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. Sometimes I'm guessing it is the actual client, but sometimes I'm guessing it's someone else. He
never does. There's definitely a hierarchy. He has somebody who works as who kind of handles all of that stuff. So there's a head chef who is a wonderful, wonderful person out in LA. And we've actually developed a friendship and are working on a few things together. So I get directives from her or the person that's on the ground, who I just don't want to say her name because I don't know if that's cool, but I got most of my directives from her. And, and it's a dynamic environment. It's very dynamic because he could be coming home from the set and his acting coach is with him. And there's 5 people now that are going to be there for dinner and they're going to be at the house in an hour.
And you need to be prepared. Right. So when he says, and I thought about this too, well, if someone looks at this buffet you've laid out and they're like, I want salmon and pita bread, you better have salmon and pita bread in the fridge.
Yeah.
Right?
So you learn very quickly the types of things that are requested. It's kind of weird because there's almost a food culture that comes along with every client is how I would describe it. Okay. And Mr. Smith's camp has he's not a fussy person. He's very, very easy and very simple. And most people that are in his camp follow his lead. So there's certain types of things that you very early on get a feel for. This is what needs to happen. I've cooked for one of my recent clients is New York Yankee Garrett Cole. He's also very simple. And you get a feel for him. Now I'm working with Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. Very simple guy, very specific things he doesn't like. As long as you don't cook those things, I'm good. you know.
Oh,
So
okay.
you definitely get a feel. I have been fortunate that I have not had any clients that are just like, oh my goodness, you know, they're pretty easy.
So one more Will Smith food question. When you lay out the typical breakfast buffet, what's that look like? What's on? Can you tell those kind of things?
Oh yeah, it's very
Okay.
simple. It's very simple. What they typically want, there's basics that you fix every breakfast, primarily because that really, if he's going to eat a meal at the house, that's going to
Mhm.
be it. So you always have something like some kind of uh, turkey sausage, something that's not full of like, um, preservatives, or something very, very natural. So
Mhm.
you either make it yourself or you buy it. So some kind of turkey sausage, some type of hash, either sweet potato, which is primarily sweet potato because that's better for you, or just an Irish potato hash. You always have a parfait or a fruit cup or something like that. You always have either an egg scramble or an egg white or a frittata or a quiche or something like that.
Sheesh.
Always fresh juice.
Yeah.
Shot, some kind of probiotic shot or something like that. And it's set out. You have a coffee bar, you have a tea bar that you set out for this one person. There may be more per people, but that's how you have to set it out.
That's amazing. That's
Mhm.
amazing. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we're going to do the 10 questions for James Lipton. And then we're going to get out of here and go do a Q&A real quick
Okay.
over on our members channel. So we'll be back. You guys, if you have any other show ideas, things you want to see on the channel, things you want to participate on the channel, this is how you can reach out to me right here. All right, so let's do our 10 questions, the James Lipton style questioning from inside the actor's studio. He would ask these questions to every guest. I love them. All right, so here's the first one.
Okay.
Cynthia,
Mhm.
what is your favorite word? Your favorite word?
I think my favorite word is persnickety.
Persnickety.
Persnickety. I just like how that. I like those British type of gobsmacked and persnickety and trafficating and telegraphing. I like those types of words. So I would say persnickety is one of my favorite words.
Okay. What's your least favorite word then?
My least favorite word. Oh, that's I can't even think my least favorite word.
Uh-huh.
Probably something like the N-word.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Mhm.
What turns you on?
Whew. What turns me on? Intelligence, a deep conversation. I'm not somebody who is set up for trivial, trite conversations or surface conversations. That's just not my makeup. So
Okay.
I like deep dives, and that does it for me. When I can learn from somebody,
Mhm.
intelligent conversations really do it for me.
Okay. So you may have sort of answered this next one, but I'm gonna ask it. What
Okay.
turns you off?
Shallow people that lack critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What noise or sound do you love?
Noise or sound do I love? There is something in my mother's culture called bun bun. And I
What's
think it's
that?
called gratin in Haitian culture, pot bottom in, I think, Jamaican culture. It's the rice that is kind of stuck to the bottom of the pot when you fix rice.
Yeah.
where all the seasonings and stuff go. So there's a sound when you take the spoon and you're scraping it off the pot.
Yeah.
That's a great sound.
It's a great sound to hate.
I know some good eating is coming with that.
Oh, so that's a great sound to love because you know food is coming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
that
right.
crunchy rice, that country, like crunchy, right? Not country, crunchy rice. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, what sound or noise do you hate?
Probably like nails on a yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Or in the chef world, I hate to hear people when they use their knife to like scrape things because you're dulling your knife. So I'm like, you're ruining the knife. When I hear that, that bothers me as well.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. What is your favorite curse word?
I would say every once in a while I'll say MF. I won't say that publicly, but I'll say it to my husband. I'll be like, oh, I'll do that every once in a while. Yeah, I will.
That's my favorite one too.
I love Jesus, but I cuss a little.
Hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I think that is a favorite on this channel thus far. When I asked, "What is your favorite?" Curse word. What profession, other than the one that you currently have, would you have attempted?
I still want to do it. I would love to have my own show someday, kind of like a cooking hybrid talk show. Yes. I would love to do that.
I would love for you to have that. Awesome. Okay. What profession would you not like to have? For sure.
Oh, I would never want to be like a politician. I would never want to be, because I just think that you can't win for losing. Especially in this day and age. So I would never want to be an elected official.
Yeah. Okay. And last but not least, because you and I both know that heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you get to the pearly gates?
2 words. Well done.
Yes.
Absolutely. 2 words.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So everybody, we are going to switch off and go over to members only. But before we do that, let me just say something real quick, Cynthia. This is a very important question that it's really been bothering me once I decided. I was like, I'm going to have Cynthia on, and I don't have the answer to this question, and I should. So, Cynthia, I've known you for a very, very long time.
Over 30 years. Well, about 30 years. About 30 years. Yeah.
Over
30. Okay. Just over. Yeah. Yeah.
Cynthia, I've stayed at your home, been to your home. You've stayed in my home, been to my home. We've shared celebratory moments together over the years, and yet I have never once in my life eaten any Chef Cynthia Pean's food.
Well, you need to come on down to Tampa and I will hook you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to come on down to Tampa and I will hook you up.
What the heck is the problem here?
Well, because when my mom was alive, that was her kitchen.
And mine too.
In Ohio, that was your mama's kitchen. Yeah, so those people were very territorial with their kitchens. My mom passed the torch on her deathbed, literally. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes. Same here. Same here. So I'm gonna give you, but the difference is I'm not a celebrity chef and you are. But that's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. So let's see. I'm gonna switch over to members only. Hopefully I do this right. I didn't do it correctly last time, they tell me. So let's see if this works. Okay, I just press save. Posted members. Let's see. Hopefully this is gonna work. We're here. And all right. It's a shame you got to go through all these little steps before you can make things happen. Okay. So I hope we are here. in members only. Hello, my members. Anyone, if you have any questions, this is the time. So please share the MS link again. The members link. Okay, I will know your own worth. Hold on one second. Yeah, I think that's it. There we go. That's the members link. Everyone, if you'd like to join members to have a conversation with Chef Cynthia. Cynthia, how do you like to be referred to? Is it Chef Cynthia? Is it Chef Pean?
Chef. Chef is fine. Chef or CC.
Yes.
Yeah.
The people in the chat are saying Chef Pean is so pretty.
Oh, thank you. I cannot take any credit for it. It's my dad, my mama, and my daddy.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so let me ask you this. I got to ask you this because it was in the news, Cynthia. The slap heard around the world. Okay. People have had all sorts of perceptions of who Will Smith is. Let me tell you my take on it. One, I don't know enough about what was going on in his head to make him make that decision. I'm not saying the decision was the right decision to do. I'm just saying I don't know enough, and I'm certainly not going to judge a person who I've never seen do anything negative in the public light before. And he's given us nothing but 30 years of excellence. I don't want to demonize him because of one choice. My question for you is, was that response surprising for you? I'm guessing it would be, or maybe not. I don't know.
Well, in the 4 years that I have worked very closely, for me to be clear, I am not the chef who works on set. I am the chef who is in the house.
Right.
So family members, I'm interacting with them. I'm behind the scenes. I'm seeing the stuff that nobody else sees.
Right.
I don't know who that person was. That's what I will say. And I will say as well that I have recently had some experiences that have been extremely painful. And I have processed through that by learning to be compassionate. Because they say you don't know what people are going through. People have this false sense that because somebody is wealthy, or because somebody is beautiful, or because like they don't experience life.
Right.
Every single one of us has something that we're dealing with, irrespective of that, our wealth, our beauty, our things that we have, our education. We are all dealing with something. And it's so easy to that. I wouldn't do that.
Right. Right.
So compassion.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I said no one knows what went on in his mind and made him make that choice and what else was going on in his life. You just never know what someone's going through. And I just think that we have to be careful about making quick judgment.
And we live in a world where everybody, like they call them like these people that sit behind social media and they can just type away in their opinions and stuff. Like, you don't know.
That's right.
You don't know.
That's right.
But and it's safe to do it because, you're hiding behind this profile picture or whatever. You don't know. I've read and seen a million things. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting take. Okay. Well.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you, who has been, okay, I won't say who. Can you give us an example of a time when you had a celebrity client and they asked you for something very difficult? Or what was your most challenging moment working with celebrity clients? Maybe that's a better question to ask without telling us who it was.
I think the greatest challenge in working with these types of individuals is not getting caught up.
Mm.
I have had conversations with clients who've told me about chefs that have started sleeping with their friends or took way too much liberty. They got way too comfortable, and they act like they're friends with their client, and the client will kind of like roll with it, but they're not going to get another opportunity. So I think recognizing your role. All of this stuff, okay, he's a celebrity, but you're not. Your job is to cook. Focus on that. Don't be cordial and friendly, but no, stay in your place. And that can be a difficult thing. You've got to put ego. That's it. You got to put your ego aside because it's not about you. And sometimes you may be spoken to a certain way, and it's not personal. These people are about business. They're where they are in life because they have been consistent and disciplined.
Right.
So you're part of the cog. Get with it.
Right. Okay. Shell Love says, Chef, how do you recommend transitioning from a regular diet to plant-based? Regular for me, meaning fried chicken every so often, sweets and starchy foods.
Meatless Monday is a great way to get started.
Oh, wow.
Meatless Monday. So say to yourself, okay, if I typically have turkey bacon or pork bacon for breakfast, I'm just not going to have any bacon. This morning, I'll just do eggs and toast. Or you know what? I've been hearing about tofu. Maybe I'll try that out. Or here's another idea. I have often said that in this country, we feel like breakfast has to be toast, eggs, sausage, pancakes, waffles. Why can't breakfast be some brown rice and some beans and a little bit of kale? Why can't it be? So I would suggest that you get comfortable with trying different things out on your Meatless Monday, and then that will gradually go into your Tuesday. It'll gradually go into your Wednesday, or you can say, I'm going to start this week. I'm going to stop eating red meat. Dinner, I'm going to make sure that my dinner every night or my lunch every day is a big salad with beans and nuts and things like that, but I'm not going to add any meat. Something like that, I think, is an easy way to transition. And
I like it.
Yeah, fried chicken, baby
What about
steps.
these fried cauliflower thingies? I see people
Cauliflower
doing
is delicious. Fried cauliflower is actually really good.
I
If you
haven't
take
tried
your time with it, it's really, really good. And it's not, I tell people, it's not going to taste like chicken. It's not.
Okay.
So get that out of your head. It's another option. Yeah. So Meatless Mondays would be a great way to do it. And fortunately, we're living in a world now that there are so many options. But as I was speaking of earlier, be careful. Still flip those packages around and look at what the ingredients are, and make those decisions armed with that information.
Shell Love says, wow, sounds good. Thanks for that.
You're
Tell
welcome.
us a little bit about Afkave foods.
Afkave Foods is a line that I have started. It's temporarily on hold because we're repackaging and we're looking for a co-packer to manage the distribution because I can't keep up with it. But we have 4 products. One of them, have you tried any of them?
No, ma'am.
So this is my maroon maple jerk glaze, and it's spicy sweet, and this is really good. It's vegan, but people have been using it on like salmon. If you grill a piece of salmon and then you just like drizzle this over the top, it's really good on like a dip for chicken tenders and things like that.
I'm trying to make you big. Hold on 1 second. I want people to see what you're offering. I can't do it. Darn it. I can make me big. Well, go ahead.
So this is one, the maroon maple jerk glaze. And maroon in honor of the maroons in Jamaica. So that's not the color, it's the people. Okay. So that's one. And then we have, I need to refill these, but we have, I have what it's called a spice flight. And it's these 3. And this one is Habesha spice. If you are familiar with Ethiopian food, beta beta, it's very similar to that. So it's got a lot of different layers of flavor, a little bit of heat. If you want a lot of heat, just add more of it. But it's really good like in chili.
Okay.
Instead of using chili powder or taco seasoning and things like that, I use this. So it has all that flavor, but then it definitely has that African type of, energy to it. So that's the Habesha. This is the quarantine curry. I grew up, my mother is from the West Indies, so I had curry like at least 3 times a week. My mother used to blend her own curry. And so this curry is a Madras curry base, and it's really, it's almost floral. It's really flavorful. And so that's the second one. And then this one, I've actually changed the name of this. And so it's going to be reflected on the packaging to I Can't Believe It's Not Egg. This is a product. Most people, when they start entertaining a plant-based lifestyle, one of the first things they do is try tofu. And it usually goes horribly wrong because tofu is like a spongy mouthful of nothingness. This right here is a great way to add flavor. You just crumble that tofu with your hands in your pan. You put your onions, you put your garlic. I even put some kale sometimes in there. And I sprinkle a generous amount of this on there, and it transforms it into a delicious dish. So those are my spices. But like I said, everything is on hold right now because we're repackaging.
No, okay. Well, please let us know once it's repackaged.
I absolutely will.
We can start telling people out here because I definitely want to try. You know what? I have heard more recently about people doing more of these tofu crumbles kind of meals. So I think I've never tried tofu. I think that would probably be do you think that would be the best introduction into it just because it's smaller?
I think so because that's pretty much as bad as it can get.
Okay.
It's pretty much uphill from there.
Okay.
I'm going to be sure to send you a set so you can try it out.
Okay. Perfect. Know Your Own Worth wants to know, do you recommend whole foods for plant-based foods? I know that it can get pretty expensive.
There are 2 places that I think, I love Sprouts. I actually think that if you have a Trader Joe's is really good. They've got a lot of great products. For example, I was there the other day and the Just Egg, they have their own version now of Just Egg, so it's less expensive. So I Whole Foods I think is good, but it's not necessary. And when you're thinking of plant-based foods now, don't think just to packaged and processed foods. Plant-based is avocado. Plant-based is cucumber. It's cabbage. It's carrots. So anywhere you can get those things, get them. One thing to keep in mind is there are certain fruits and vegetables that you need to buy organic. If you can bite directly into it, get organic. For example, berries. If you don't get organic berries, you're basically eating pesticide pellets. Because you may wash them, but their skin is permeable. And so whatever is sprayed on them is getting into that and it's going to get into you. So, but if you're doing something like a banana, that's not as necessary. If you're doing something like anything that you have to peel, it's not that much of an issue. But if it's something that you don't peel and you eat directly, it needs to be organic.
Thank you for that. That's good stuff. I was going to ask this too. I thought about it. Know Your Own Worth wants to know, have you ever done anything with Tabitha Brown?
I love Tabitha Brown. She is good friends with my girlfriend Shoniji that I spoke of earlier of Southern Girl Desserts. I have not, but I heard that she actually has a show that's coming out. Yeah. And I would love to be a contestant or to be on the show, to be a guest judge, something. I have not met her, but we know a lot of people in common. I'm actually going to be in LA next weekend, so maybe I can make that acquaintance then.
Yay, yes.
But she's amazing. She's doing everything that I would love to do.
Yeah. Actually, Tabitha Brown is my inspiration for finally starting my channel, for different reasons. Like I saw how she just took a chance and listened to God and then took a chance and came out here even when she didn't always know what she was going to say. She just came out here and she did it until she figured out her space, and God did the rest. So I love that about her.
You know what it is with her and with so many people, and I think what you are referring to in a roundabout way is the pursuit of excellence and the pursuit of purpose. And
Yes.
you cannot fail. There's
Yeah.
no way for you to fail when you're pursuing excellence and you're pursuing your purpose, because
Yeah.
you will get there. And even if you think your purpose is this, and God is saying, okay, shoot for that, but your
Yeah.
purpose is actually here. But on the way to it, you'll figure out what I intend for you. The
Yeah.
pursuit of excellence and the pursuit of purpose should be your goal in life, in glorifying God in that, but your goal in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cynthia, so next month, would you mind coming back? Would you be willing to come back and do a little segment where you tell us the ingredients to have
Oh, absolutely. A
beforehand,
cooking, absolutely.
and we do a little something quick, easy, and
Yes.
tasty
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
plant-based?
We can do a couple of things, actually. I
Okay.
can do a breakfast dish and I can do a lunch dish as well. But absolutely, I'll be
Great.
finished with this gig July 27th. So
Okay.
anytime after that, I would be happy to do it.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming.
My
I appreciate
pleasure.
you. I'm so proud of you.
Well,
No, really, I am so proud of you. You have found your purpose, and you're not just walking in it. You are busting through doors and windows with it. I love it.
and let me say something for those of you who are watching who may be on the other swing of life, your post 40 years. I am a late bloomer, and it is something that I claim, and I'm very comfortable with it, because everybody doesn't get out of undergrad and know exactly what they want to do. And it can
Right.
be very discouraging when you see people settle into their careers and take off, and you're like in your 30s and your 40s and you're still trying to figure it out. A late bloom is still a bloom, and God can make it happen in his time. When he's ready, it can happen.
All right. That's the facts. That's the facts, Jack. Thank you, Cynthia. I love you.
You.
Thank
Love you too,
you.
babe.
All right. We'll see you next time. I'll be in touch very soon. Okay?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us. Wasn't that good? We got some insight on what different products do to help with healing. We've talked about maybe the possibility of us integrating plant-based foods into our diets, and how to do that gradually and in a way that's probably a lot easier for us to adjust. We got some encouragement there. The mere fact that Cynthia shares with us that she was a late bloomer. Hell, I was a late bloomer. Many of us are, and even those folks who have pursued their goals, pursued their dreams, and pursued a purpose and achieved that, doesn't mean God doesn't have a new purpose for you. A lot of us at this stage in life, some folks are moving on to what their next purpose is, or their next set of goals are, and that's okay too. It means God's not finished with you. All right. And I just think that Cynthia being so open and transparent about finding her space, her niche later in life, me for that matter as well. I told you guys I've been doing speaking and training for years, but it probably wasn't until I had my own negative circumstance happen in my life, it sort of shifted where my focus was. And so I feel like now I'm really walking in purpose, whereas before I was just walking. But she's over here walking and busting doors down, making wonderful things happen. So, anywho, thank you, Shell Loves. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Know Your Own Worth. Thank you, Grace K. I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. I'm also excited that she's going to come back next month and teach us a little something that we can do differently that's plant-based. I like that for breakfast or lunch. So that's cool. Maybe I make her come back 2 more times. One to show us lunch and another to show us breakfast. Huh? Let's just suck her dry till we get everything we can. So anywho, let me go back and make this video public again. Gonna do that while I'm thinking about it. Save changes, public. All right. So anywho, I'm going to make sure I add her information to the description. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed what she shared. Thursday, the next interview. Now that doesn't mean I'm not coming on live before next Thursday. I am. I'll be on tomorrow, I promise. Okay, I really will, because I gotta come out here. Okay, and plus there's content that I want to cover, so definitely going to come out here. But Thursday we have comedian Ralph Harris that is coming back. That's my next interview. Then next Saturday we have Marla Thomas, who is a mental health activist. She will be here next Saturday. Okay, and then I am still in the process of working on 2 or 3 more. Actually, folks have said they're willing to do it. We're just trying to find where to plug them in. Okay, so we got good stuff coming. Please share this video with your friends, family, everybody that you can. Share it on social media. Share it if you are a content creator, if you wouldn't mind sharing it. If you are just a subscriber who has social media sites on Facebook or Instagram, share it there too. I'd appreciate it. The more we grow, the more attraction we get, the better guests we get. These guests, like the ones that I've been bringing to you, will be more inclined to come back if folks are supporting. So thank you again, everyone, for all of your support. Thank you for your cash apps, everything. I appreciate you. I don't always see the cash apps when I'm live, so I apologize for not saying anything. And then sometimes I'm afraid to share who the cash apps are from, because some of the names are real life names. So I don't make a point to say anything. But we can talk about how you all think I should handle that. But I want to say, nevertheless, I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you for that. We'll be back soon. I hope that you're enjoying your 4th of July weekend. And I'll see you tomorrow on the actual 4th of July. All right. Until then, everybody be well and smooches.
Boom.